Welcome to the Paws Perspective. I'm Pat,
And I'm Molly.
and today we've got a very special guest. Who is it, Molly?
Our final guest for 2025 is arguably our biggest guest.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Most people know her.
Yeah, and if you've seen our socials in the last couple of days, you will know it is Dr. Katrina Warren.
Where did you know her from?
I knew her from Totally Wild and from Harry's Practice.
Yep, I used to see her on Harry's Practice.
Yep, I think Toby, the Wonder Dog, as everyone would know from Harry's Practice, probably made my generation. I was only a kid when that show was on.
Yeah.
Want a Border Collie.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He was awesome.
Beautiful dog. And now she's got Chili, another beautiful dog.
Yeah.
Border Collie. He makes a little bit of an appearance on it. We see him, but the video didn't quite work, did it?
No, but yeah, Chili and Leo are there, and Foxy pops in at some point. That's who Katrina says hello to.
Yep. What are we talking about?
We're talking about respecting dog space in public. So mainly talking with Katrina about a big passion of hers, which is a big passion of ours, and it's that dogs don't have to say hello, especially if the person on the end of the lead says no. For whatever reason. So we go into a few different things about that, about, what to do to help you feel a little bit more confident if it's something you're not feeling confident about. We do get a little bit waylaid with a few other topics in there, but it's great to hear Katrina's opinion on a few of these different things.
Yeah, it was really good. Enjoy. Hello, and we'd like to welcome Dr. Katrina and Jill. Thanks very much for coming on and having a chat to us. So we wanted to have a bit of a talk to you today about, to start with, respecting dogs' space when you're out and about. What are your thoughts on when you're out in public with your dog?
Yeah, over the past few years, I've noticed a really big shift with this. And I think somewhere along the lines, the term socialization got thrown around so much that people feel like socialization is all about taking their dogs out and letting them interact with everyone. And they have to say hello to be happy, and they have to meet as many dogs as possible. And I think that term needs to be explained, which is that socialization is about purely exposing your pets to as many situations as possible so that the animal or the dog will cope with those situations later in life in a positive way. It's not about putting them into every possible environment, which may or may not stress your dog and could potentially really stress another dog. I've seen such a shift with it, and I don't know, in Sydney, the dog population went right up through COVID. And a lot of the dogs that people got that were selling for $12,000, $15,000 were the cavoodles. Now, a lot of the cavoodles are very sweet, happy little dogs, but they are often those dogs that will run up to other dogs if they're not trained not to. And I think the more people got cavoodles, the more people we're seeing this is how they interact, and it just escalated. And I find every single day when I'm on a walk, people will walk towards us for their dog to say hello to Chili, even if I'm clearly trying to cross the road. And he is such a beautiful, beautifully natured dog. But he has had a couple of situations. For example, he's had little Dachshunds have a go at him. And so he will now see those dogs coming and he will try to move away from them. So he's clearly uncomfortable. He tries to avoid a lot of small dogs, actually, because they constantly jump in his face. But people don't seem to understand that he's not necessarily comfortable. He'll tolerate it. He's not going to do anything. He's just such a beautifully natured dog. But it doesn't mean he likes it. And if a dog is reactive, those poor people that are trying to avoid dogs just find themselves in the most stressful of situations.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess when you have got a reactive dog, it mightn't be, you might say reactive, but it might just be, for some people, overexcited as well, and they're trying to work on that, trying to get focus.
Yes.
Back onto them with their dog. So when we talk about reactivity, there's a couple of sides to it.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off, but it's not even reactive dogs. It's often the anxious dogs or the dogs that are stressed. And often those dogs have had a really bad experience when they were a puppy or when they were young, and they can be really stressed. Or dogs that have been attacked by other dogs. If I have a friend with a little cavoodle that was attacked, that poor little dog is terrified of dogs running up into its face. And people just don't seem to understand that. And every dog, oh, hello, it's a beautiful thing. Every dog deserves the right to be able to just walk in peace.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we don't run up and hug everybody or get into the face of strangers. And so every dog deserves that right. And every dog deserves to actually feel safe and comfortable when they walk out the door, that they're not going to have these forced interactions, whether the other dog is friendly or not.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point too. When you do go out, if a stranger rushes up and gives you a hug, you think they're pretty weird. But yeah,
Yeah.
we sort of often, people let their dogs come up to yours. They're strangers, so it's not polite.
And not all dogs want to engage with other dogs. In fact, most dogs don't want to engage with all dogs. They like to choose who they engage with, and they like to be able to control their interactions and their greetings. And as you know, when dogs are on the lead, it's not a natural greeting for them, and there's the restriction of the lead. So it can be really tricky for both of the dogs to greet in a way that they would greet if they were both off leash and they had some space. So body language, what they would normally do, is really restricted, and it's really not fair. And while we're talking about this, I work a lot with the guide dogs. I'm an ambassador for Guide Dogs New South Wales, and they really struggle with this. And you have to imagine how terrifying it must be for someone who is vision impaired to suddenly have greeting their dog that is working for them, that is then suddenly distracted. And
Yeah,
and I think once you have a dog that you allow to run up to other dogs, well, that dog is obviously not trained to ignore other dogs. You don't tend to get a dog that will just walk past some dogs and then jump all over others. They're usually allowed to say hello to everyone. So
Yeah.
I always say to people, think about guide dogs, think about assistance dogs, and the damage you can do by distracting that dog at a really crucial moment in that
yeah,
person.
yeah,
And train your dog to ignore other dogs as much as possible. And people don't seem to understand that is actually a better thing to do for our dogs.
Yeah.
yeah. Getting them to focus on
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
One thing I've taught Chili to do, he's staring, he's like, what have you taught me? One thing I've taught him, which I find quite handy, to watch me if I ask him. And I tell a lot of people that this is a really easy one to do. I just go watch. And so when he hears that, because he's had a lot of treats for looking up and watching me, if I see a dog coming towards me that I don't really want to greet, I will ask him to watch me, and then I can choose what I want to do. So he'll look up and I can turn around, I can move across the road, but his focus is on me. And I just wish when people saw people trying to move away from a dog that they would not then try to approach you.
Yeah. I think something else I know I've found with Fox, and I'm sure from what you've said you've found with Chill, is people just seem to ignore the person
Yes,
and just go, the dog looks friendly, the dog looks, and I only said to you the other day when we were out somewhere that he's so friendly, but I don't want him interacting with everyone. But because he's sitting there looking friendly, they think they've got the right.
yes, it's very true. I've had this a lot because I had my beautiful Toby, the Wonder Dog, who
Yeah.
had a profile, so he was really quite famous back in the day, and people would just jump all over him. And as he got older, so the other thing is, you might be letting your dog run up to a dog that is got a sore back or sore hips or recovering from surgery or not feeling well. And as Toby was getting older, he was 13 or nearly 14, and people were letting their kids climb all over him. And I remember this one woman, I said, look, would you mind not letting her do that? He's getting older. And she turned to me and she goes, I know Toby the Wonder Dog and he loves being patted. And I was like, but he's a guide dog. And he loves, he's very tolerant, because dogs can be very, very tolerant
Mm.
until they're not. And
Yeah.
because they've given all these signs. And I was like, he's not enjoying that. And she stomped off. And I was thinking, and it's the same with our dogs. You don't know if a dog might be sore or
Mm.
guarding, some part of its body or not feeling well as well. And it is interesting, isn't it, that people will go straight for the dog
Yeah.
instead of thinking,
Yeah.
can I interact with your dog?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing is if you do want to is asking the person, is it okay, but also respecting their answer.
Always. And I always, whenever children ask if they can pat my dog, I always say to him, thank you so much for asking. Yes, you can. Be gentle. Don't wallop him on the head. But it surprises me still how many people will let their children run up to dogs. And you
Yeah.
see it, some of these TikTok trends and trends that you see online where you've got the kids got them in a
Mm.
headlock or they're
Mm.
doing horrible challenges and things like that. But to the outside thing, it's a very easy thing to just teach your dog to move away from other dogs while you're walking instead of letting them jump all over them.
Yeah. What about at cafes? Do you go to many cafes and restaurants and that sort of stuff up your way? Do you have a lot of dog friendly
Do.
ones?
And I choose where I go and I don't go to the high density. So I've got a little dog park just very close to me since I moved a couple of years ago. I'll take Chili to that because I know there's only probably in the afternoon, maybe it'll be between 5 and 10 people. I know all the dogs. They're all friendly little dogs. They all get on. They're very harmonious. And I've never actually had the joy of a little dog park like that. Normally, you wouldn't see me near. Chili will go and have a sniff and then we move on. But normally I tell people those high density dog areas are incredibly dangerous. You don't know the dogs generally. It's very rare that there's a new dog in that little park. It's just that they're always there, that little group. But with cafes, it's the same thing. I am always on alert. I'm always looking how many dogs are here. I keep my distance between the other dogs. And I try and obviously tuck Chili a little bit away. So I will take him, but not if they're busy.
Hmm.
Do you have
What?
many? Do you have many?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
do.
do. I think there's getting more accommodation places and more
Mm.
cafes.
Which
Um,
I do
yeah, they're
love.
good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I recently, just a couple of weeks ago, had to drive to Brisbane for a job. So I drove Sydney to Brisbane, and it was great being able to stop at places, take Chili to a pub. But again, he's a social dog, and he's really easy. But for someone with a reactive dog or an anxious dog, dragging them out to some of those places can be really stressful for them. So
Yeah.
it depends on the individual dog.
Yeah, and I think it was a good point you made as well about we often say where you sit.
Yeah.
Sometimes, in some cafes we've been to, we don't go. We go, oh, it's a bit tight. You get stuck in a corner, and then it's hard to get out. So
Mm.
having somewhere where you can go in, but it's easy access if you need to, if too many dogs come in or something like that, is always good
Yeah,
as well.
I always I always look who's there, what dogs are in here. I always clock everything, which I don't think many people do. You guys probably do, but I'm always around. I look at the body language. Are the dogs all just chilled out or whatever? I always look, and then I'll usually have Chill behind me, or I'll sort of tuck him away so I can step in. And that's something too for people, just because it is quite important on the street. You know what to do if a dog is approaching you and you don't want that dog coming near you. And also, sometimes you're in a situation in public where there's an off leash dog coming at you,
Mm.
which is
Yeah.
even more like that can be really scary. So I do the body block as much as possible. I will just step in and I don't care. I'll just be like, if I don't want it, I will try and stop that dog from approaching, which a lot of people don't think to do, I don't think, until it's too late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think the other thing that we tell some of our clients too is to have a word or have a sentence that you're going to say to people. That's polite, but something so that you're ready. So if someone does head their dog towards yours, you've got something in the back of your mind. You can say it. You're not worrying sort of thing about, oh, what am I going to say? Am I going to upset them or things like that? So being prepared when you go out
Yeah,
is good as well.
yeah. People often don't listen because sometimes I've seen people say my dog's not friendly, and then people go, "Oh, but mine is," and think,
Yeah.
that's not necessarily going to work. But sometimes people like I've used this one before too, where I just say, he's sick right now. He could be contagious, and people are like,
Yeah,
um,
oh, that's a good one.
I mean, it's not great to lie, but the contagious thing usually makes people stop. You
Yeah.
know, stop in the track because they don't want their dog to get sick. But it is hard. Um, and then Kelly Gill and I have talked about this too. She had a friend that had a jacket that said, I think it said, anxious or fearful or something. I think it said anxious on the side, just the word. And someone went, "Why is that dog called anxious?" It's like, because it's
Oh,
anxious. People don't necessarily stop and
no.
understand.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we find as well, if you go out in public and someone wants to approach your dog, and you might say, the dog's not too sure, or it's anxious, or it's reactive, or I just don't want you to say hello. There's a lot of dog trainers out there in the world, and
Yes.
they're they're
Experts.
yeah, they've always got, I've had dogs for my whole life, and, I just let mine come up and everything will be fine. It does get hard to veer people away without being nasty, without,
Mm.
still being
Yeah.
polite to them.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's where that education is the only thing you can do with this, because it is a problem. And I think here, particularly, we've got more and more dogs and less space as
Hmm.
well. But share the space, even my little park down here, suddenly now it's like you can only have dogs off leash in this tiny hour because there's so much kids sport, and we're all just sharing these areas, and these poor dogs are then just pushed more and more. But I think that education piece that you guys are doing, um, just around respecting that a dog should have the right to just walk in peace.
Yeah,
Yes.
Especially,
yeah, no one approach it. Hmm.
got another friend here. Leo, come here. Come here. It's a big friend. Come and say hello. Come and say hello. There we go.
Oh, hello. You're a bit cute. Nice foot.
Cute. He likes a little massage. Do you?
Something I was going to ask you that we've discussed with our local council. They're not on board yet, but we'll see how we go. Is have you got any one-way walking tracks up your way? I've seen them in other places. So
No.
that's where, it's good because everyone goes one way. So you're not, dogs aren't approaching you head on. Hmm.
I do know. Centennial Park here is, people tend to walk one way on the
Okay.
path going around, which is helpful. But not really. I mean, you can go the other way, but I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it in a couple of places. Might have been overseas, but
Yeah.
I think especially for people that just want to go for a walk and not be bothered, or for people that have got a bit of a reactive dog, whether it's scared or anxious or a bit over friendly, it's a good way to just be able to go for a walk, but not have people approach you or
Yeah, I
head
think
on
that's a
approach.
great idea. And look, the other thing, as you would know too, sometimes there's a really big, what's the right word? People are really scared to sometimes to muzzle their dogs if
Hmm.
they, and I think there's an education piece around that too, that muzzling a dog when appropriate can keep that dog safe. And when it's
Hmm.
taught to wear the muzzle comfortably, and it's very comfortable with that muzzle, then you can actually potentially reduce stress for everybody. But a lot of people, stigma is the word I was looking for. There's a stigma around
Yeah.
muzzles. People will think, oh my gosh. But if that's going to keep your dog safe, if it's going to keep people away from your dog, then it's a really good thing to think about. I don't know what you
Yeah.
guys think about that. I've got Leo's just found the treats that are here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
no,
agree
that's
with
good.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of it is about the human side of it, feeling comfortable, wherever they are. So you
Yeah.
doing a bit of training there.
They're so predictable.
Awesome. Um, what else? Do you want to ask anything
Um,
else?
I suppose, are there any like myths that you'd like to debunk about dogs in public spaces or people approaching dogs in public spaces?
Myths around, well, the big one is that my dog is friendly, or dogs need to say
Mm.
hello. That's the biggest myth, and they
Yeah.
really don't. And most dogs are way more comfortable. And it's interesting. I'd be curious. Do you find your border collie breeders? Because Chili really only wants to engage with border collie. So if there's 10 dogs, if we lined up 10 dogs, he would go straight for the border collie, and he would want to play with that border collie, but ignore all the other dogs.
Yours probably would, wouldn't
Mine
he?
probably would.
But
Yeah.
if Fox had the chance, he'd be everyone's best friend.
I'm sure it's to do with it. I mean, they're socialized. I mean, Chili was raised and socialized around so many border collies. He loves all dogs, but they just deserve the right to be able to select who they interact with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
definitely,
know, and
definitely.
oh my gosh, when Chili's with his dog friends, he's so happy, and he does have some non-border collie friends. He's got a Bernese dog friend that he loves, but I just think we need to respect them. And what's the other line that's blurred is because now we're not dog owners anymore. Then we were dog parents, and now we're dog guardians, and we've sort of put ourselves, they're family members, and I think this is where some of the lines are blurred because they're family members, but they deserve to be respected for what they need, and they need to be able to choose their own interactions, not us
Yeah.
pushing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is what we do. We decide who we're going to talk to and who we're not. So very much the same. Probably the other thing is long lines can be a great option, but a lot of people use the retractable leads, which is interesting. As dog trainers, obviously we not that keen on retractable leads, but I think
You can't work a retractable
no, I
lead.
can't. Yeah, so obviously I'm no good. I don't know how they work at all, but I like long lines. But I think also I can understand maybe why people use those sorts of things. It gives the dog a good sniff. But again, people need to be respectful when they see another dog to actually reel the dog in rather than being on the end of a long line or retractable lead or whatever it is.
And they often don't. I mean, we had a little girl. Was walking Chili, and there was a mum in front of her. I don't know if they were her 3 kids, but 3 kids. One of them with the Labrador on the retractable lead, and the mum, no, she had no idea. The dog had pulled to Chili, but then the girl's trying to actually pull the dog back in, wraps around her, and I thought, oh my gosh,
Oh
someone's going to
no.
get.
Yeah,
And people don't understand how to use them at all, and they should not be used on big dogs because people just can't reel them in. I'm with you. I do understand, for example, if I was dog sitting a friend's little dog and I wanted to take it outside for a wee at night or something, that would give me a sense of safety. It's on the retractable. I don't know your dog so well. They do have a place there for training, and I've had friends that will go and sit just in a park and let it out on the leash. But generally, they are the most dangerous tool.
Mm,
Had a toy like that for children, they'd be banned
yeah,
because I mean I did a Facebook post on this. It was a couple of years ago on retractable leads, and a lady popped on. She's from America, and she had a rescue. She rescued a dog and brought it home. She thought she was doing the right thing. Put on a retractable lead. It lunged to chase a squirrel. It sliced her finger off.
Yeah, I've seen posts and things like that.
yeah.
You can't. They're too. If you want to get your dog in, if it goes near a road or anything like that, you've got to grab it, and then it's just gonna
Mm,
There are
take your
so many stories of
yeah.
dogs being killed because they've run on the road. There was one of the mums at my daughter's school. She had what was her dog? It was a large dog, and she came into the cafe one morning. Her whole face was black and blue, and her dog exactly just lunged onto the pavement, pulled her over, and smashed her face. And then a lot of them have those horrible big handles, and that had flicked up and whacked her in the head and knocked her out. So,
Oh
Oh,
no.
but they're
yeah.
also not teaching. So they're doing the opposite of teaching your dog manners. They're teaching your dog to
Yeah.
pull.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and people just let them out and go with
Mm.
it. So I think the other thing is a bit like one. I've got a little hang up, I guess, of plastic poo bags on leads. It's a bit like that. If those sorts of things, if they come out of your hand and drop on the ground, a plastic poo bag is smaller, but it's going to bounce along and possibly, your dog's been chased by a plastic poo bag that's making noises,
Yeah,
or
the poo bag holder.
They hold- the whole- I'm always saying that to people too. I'm going, it's so chunky. And then
Yeah.
often they're swinging on the lead right
yeah,
down
and
the head. And I'm thinking, that's
yeah, and
just,
the dog. dodging
Yeah,
it. And the same with if you happen to drop a retractable lead, it bangs on the ground, the dog scares and takes off. All of a sudden, it's got something plastic that's bouncing around on the concrete chasing it. It could be
yeah.
gone. So,
And they're heavy. Those handles are
yeah.
very heavy. No, they are
Mm.
my most hated, if anyone's listening to this, my most hated dog training thing in Australia. We could go to America and pull a lot of other dog
Yeah.
training tools.
Yeah.
Won't go down there. Yeah, but
Just from something that people often get them with the best intentions without
yeah,
realizing how they are.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But I think for people that use them or for long lines, I love long lines. But again, when you're out and you see another dog, just have a bit of consideration and just reel your dog in, let them go past, and then let it out again.
And I don't know where you guys stand on this, but my take with training with treats is, particularly in an area like me, I'm in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, it is busy, it is packed. I would much rather somebody go out with their little bum bag and treats
Mm.
every single day to be able to get their dog's attention. I mean,
Yeah,
I do it with Tilly all the time. I'll let him off and I'll call him over, and he knows half the time he gets a treat, half the time he doesn't. You don't be afraid to use those treats to reward
Yep.
your dog to watch you and be with you.
Yep.
I always get the people going, oh, I don't want my dog to just want treats. But if you're going to keep your dog safe and other dogs safe and have that really happy relationship when you're out walking, it's really the simplest way.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, we definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
We take treats. We encourage everyone to take treats with them, and reward your dog anytime you can. Just sitting in the park, letting it watch the world go by, and focusing back on you, giving it a treat.
So getting the
Mm.
focus on you, teaching your dog to watch you when you're walking past all the distractions is it's just one of the most important things you can do. And if that means having treats, I don't think that is a problem. I think that is just
No.
helping the relationship and keeping your dog safe.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's amazing
definitely.
how many people want to get rid of treats. Like we get all the time in
Mhm.
puppy class, don't
Yeah.
we? How long do I have to use the treats for? And it's like my 10-year-old still gets treats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does Chili. I mean, he's run off now because, the treats dried up.
But-
And as people, we do see that the guide dogs and other service dogs, they don't use the treats, but they're a working dog and they were trained on treats. The guide dogs start heavily on treats and they phase them out.
Yeah.
But that's purely from a practical point of view when they're out working with their handler. And those dogs as well, they go home and they live a normal life. A lot of people don't understand that once that harness comes off, those dogs are dogs. They don't
Yeah.
live their whole life sort of working as a working dog. But I'm all for the treats.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. Do you want to ask anything else, or?
I suppose, what are some simple ways that people can say to people or can show to people that they don't want them to come up or their dog to come up to them?
I think it's just having a line that's prepared, and it's what we were talking about before, just saying, sorry, but he's sick. Sorry, he's unwell, or he's got a sore back. Something like that will really help you. I'm training my dog, but people seem to ignore that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's unbelievable. Again, even with Chili, and I don't do compared to what I used to do with Toby, because Toby was a TV dog, so I was always training tricks and doing stuff. Chili's, we're much more chilled and doing stuff. But I was training him the other day to do something down in the park. There is nobody there. I'm clearly doing some things with him, taking some photos, and people will just come straight at you. And I said, "Oh, I'm just doing some training," and they go, "That's okay."
Yeah. It used to work, but it doesn't seem to anymore.
No, it's so strange to me. It's so strange. But I do say that I'm training them. I've tried that in cafes as well. I'm just training him to ignore other dogs. Oh, okay. And then they just let their
They'll
dogs
come up.
So unfortunately, he's not well or he's contagious is probably the best. Anything else? All right, Chili, chill. Watch him fly in. Here we go. Here he comes. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Yay.
5. Big 5. Can we have a 5? You're on telly. We'll quote on telly. Chili. Paw. Can I get a paw? No paw. He's like, where's the treat? Where'd you
I
go?
think
You were in this.
is that about it?
You've been
Good out.
asleep.
Yeah, we've got
Now.
got another one coming to say hello to Chili.
Right. Say hi, Chili.
Our dogs.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is too, most of the time, this is people love their dogs and they're out, people are causing a lot of stress to other people who also love their dogs because they just don't quite understand. That's a lot of the time around here. Then there's areas where people just don't care at all, and then you've got off-leash dogs roaming everywhere, and we've had some dog attacks up here, and that's another whole conversation. The dog attack.
Yeah.
In fact, I think one of my biggest posts ever on my Facebook was worked with Kat Gregory, the behaviourist, was about how to avoid, what to do to avoid a dog attack if you've got another dog coming up to you, and just simple things that you can do, which is the body blocking. One thing she suggested, which is just a really good tip, if you do have a small dog and you have a dog coming at you and you're really scared, she said the best thing you can do is sort of try to block the vision of that other dog. If you've got a little dog, you can pop it in a wheelie bin or pop it over a fence or do anything, which I thought was great, as opposed to holding it up, the dog trying to get to your dog. Pop it into something so you look around really quickly. I've had several times with Chili, though, where I just get him behind and then telling that other dog, sometimes you just say stop or sit and they sort of stop. And another really good tip for people, if you have your treats on you, is to just grab a handful of treats and throw it at the oncoming dog.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got a Labrador or something coming at you. And so it's a really good one, right? Because you're distracting the dog, and you've got time to get your dog behind you, and you've just broken, what's happening.
Yeah. No, they're really good. Really good options.
Amazing.
I think that's about it.
So.
Yep.
Right,
that's awesome.
nice to chat.
Very helpful. Thanks very much for coming on, and really enjoyed having a chat with you today.
Anytime, and thank you for spreading the word. Like, every little bit helps, I think.
Yep,
definitely.
Hope so. Definitely.
Yeah. No.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, that was our chat with Dr. Katrina.
Yeah, it was really good, wasn't it?
It was. She's so lovely and so knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable. So great tips and pointers she gave us.
Yes, definitely.
Everyone.
Some really important tips, especially at the end there, where she worked with the veterinary behaviourist Kat Gregory on what to do if you are rushed by an off-lead dog, because that can be really scary. And in the moment you just don't think, or so having a few things that might stick in your brain is definitely very good.
Yeah, invaluable information.
Yeah. But we want to say a big thank you to Katrina for her time.
Yeah, it was great.
And being our final guest for 2025. We do have some exciting guests lined up for 2026.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And hopefully some guests that have already been on might reappear.
Yep. Have another chat.
Yeah. So we hope everybody enjoyed. Don't forget, if you like the podcast, leave us a 5-star review. It does help our podcast get out there.
Yep. Don't forget to follow us.
Yep. We've got a nice little following on the podcast now, so make sure you're one of them.
Yep. Terrific.